In this video, I'd like to take you through an entire takeoff from start to finish. So if you'd like the same information in smaller segments, you can watch some of the other videos in this playlist. But in this video, we're going to take it all the way from the floor plan to the output floor plans from Callidus. So I have the PDF for this job open in Adobe Acrobat. This is the floor finish plan. And I also have the dimension plan. So I'm going to import the floor finish plan into Callidus and then just use the dimension plan to verify my scale. I have Callidus opened here, so I'm going to go ahead and name the project and select Attach Background Drawing. Browse for file. I'll leave the output resolution as default. So this is the floor finish plan. You can see it has a hatching and a finish for each area. Now that I have it imported, I'm going to set the scale. The scale says 1/8 on the plan. So I'm going to open Plan Settings, and under Paper Drawing Scale, select 1/8. Now it's time to verify the scale from a dimension. So I'll open back up the dimension plan, and I'm just looking for the largest dimension on the plan. So it looks like from this outer wall to this outer wall is 73 feet 9 inches. So I'm going to right click in Callidus, which opens my draw cursor, and come over here to this exterior wall. Okay, so it looks like that scale checks out. So now I can begin tracing my areas. I'll right click to open my draw cursor and left click to draw points. There are a few different methods for tracing. I like to include all the areas that materials are included in and then split those up later. I believe it's a little faster. Again, backspace deletes your last point. And you can use the mouse wheel to scroll. You can also use arrow keys to scroll. It's inverted, so if I press up, the drawing moves down. Now I've come to my last corner, so I'll just hit the Enter key to close out. And I'm going to go ahead and split off these areas that are not receiving the carpet 1, just to separate them. So I'm going to select my Split Area tool and come and drop a point outside of that red line and drop another point on the other side outside of the red line. And that will separate it into 2 areas so I can include 2 different finishes. I'll do that again where there are other material breaks. Okay, so in this example, I just traced out the external perimeter of this area, but that didn't include these restrooms and work areas that are not connected to the exterior. So there are 2 different ways of including these types of areas. You can trace around them. Enter to close, and select none for that area. In this area, I'll select carpet 1, turn on my color. Okay, you can see that this area is now excluded from the quantity for the field. And if I turn off seams and I turn off color, I can see that that carpet tile is not extending under that area. I can tell because it doesn't show the tile grid. And I see these red hatched pieces, so those are cuts, and the blue hatched pieces where those cuts are being reused. So by turning off the color in the seams, you can see this installer view and be sure that tile is only included where it's supposed to be included. Using this method, I can now trace another room inside. And I'll include a little door drop here and place my tile in the restroom. So that's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it, I'll just delete this by hitting delete, is to just create a tiny material break from the external perimeter and incorporate this into the external perimeter. So to do that, I'm going to select a point and go to Edit Room Point, which lets me back into the drawing. And I'm just going to shoot across that gap there. And this time, instead of going around the entire area, this time I'll go inside each room. And now I will get close to this blue line and just come across. Now again, I'll use my Split Area tool to separate the outside from the inside. And now I can drop a separate material in this room, and I'll split this room as well. So the 2 different ways, again, you can trace out around the entire area, place none, and then trace out the internal rooms. Or you can connect it by a little line to your external perimeter. That's not going to make a difference in the layout of the material. So let's put carpet 1 back in here. And it is reusing some pieces of waste there, but you can see the tile grid carries through that transition. So for this area, I'm going to use the first method. And I'll draw another room inside. For my material. And for this, I'm just going to trace out the wall. If you're just doing the flooring, you won't need to cut out these walls, but since I'm also calculating base, I'll need to draw this wall so that I get an accurate lineal footage for base. Make sure as well when you trace these areas out that you place none into the areas. And again, I'll turn off color and quantify to be able to see and make sure that it's not placing the field material inside these rooms. Okay, now that we have our floor plan traced out, I'm going to go ahead and create my material list. So on this plan it has a list of materials. So to create the materials, I'll click on the material editor, and we already have a carpet 1 that's a 2 foot by 2 foot. But just to show you the process, I'll go create new, simple tile, 2 foot, 2 foot, and name this carpet 1 TBD. And change the color. So there's my carpet 1. Now we need an LVT and a porcelain tile and a sealed concrete. So next we'll do the LVT. I'll say create new, simple tile. And for the LVT, let's do a 48-inch by 6-inch. And in this offset, since this is a plank, I'll put 10, which is random. LVT1, TBD. Select a color. And any material that I'm going to need in square feet, I'll come and select 4 square feet for that material. Now I need a porcelain tile. So again, I'll select simple tile. And this is going to be a half lap. So I'll put 0.5 in the offset, which just means half a tile. PT1. And select a color. And again, 4 square feet. Now I need sealed concrete. So I'll select create new and net area only for sealed concrete. And select a color. And that is all of my flooring materials. Now for my base finishes. Again, I'll click on the material editor. And first we need BB1, which is a 4-inch final base. So I'll say create new, net area only for base. Select a color, and then the second base is TB1, 6-inch tall porcelain tile. Okay, all of my materials for this project have been created, so I can hit OK. And now all I have to do is place those materials. So I'll click on the main area where carpet 1 is going and select my material, carpet 1 TBD. Now I will click on the area where LVT is going and select LVT. LVT. That one's a sealed concrete. And finally the porcelain tile. I'll just go through it one more time. It looks like I missed this sealed concrete area, so I'll split that off and place the sealed concrete in that room. Everything else looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the quantify button to see my tile grids. Again, if you want to change the direction of an install, just double click a wall and that will change the direction. So everything looks good here. I'm going to go ahead and add base. So to add base, I will select the base skirting icon. And I'm going to select all non-common walls, all rooms in this material, select the base that I would like to apply, VB1, click on a wall, click apply. So the non-common wall option omits walls where you have split. So there are a few walls that are not included, like this area where I took the line across and then came back around, that I will have to manually remove just by clicking on each side of that. But most of my doorways where I have a transition, since I used that split feature, it will not apply base to those areas. So I'll do the same thing with the sealed concrete since it's receiving the same base. And the LVT. Now for the bathrooms, they're receiving another base, so I'll just select that and click apply. You'll notice that this bathroom doorway, it didn't remove the base from that. That's because I went with that first method of first tracing out the exterior and then the interior. So this wall where the doorway is not a shared wall, and you can actually see a little gap there between the carpet tile and the porcelain tile. Whereas here where I used the split feature, there is no gap or overlap, and that's a shared wall, so it will not apply base to that wall. For the walls that I traced out that are receiving none, because this is a separate room, I'll have to apply base to the inside of that wall. So I'll click on a wall and click apply, and you'll see it looks a little funny because it's applying base to the inside, but the lineal footage is still the same. And then I'll have to click on that wall to remove it from the doorway. If you need transitions, that's going to be applied the same way, so I'll just select the transition and click in the doorway where I'd like to apply the transition. Or you can select common walls and apply, and it would apply it to just those walls where you have split. So now that I've applied my base, I'm going to go ahead and save this file, and it'll ask if I want to use the same name that I typed in at the beginning. I'll say yes, and now I am ready to print my reports. So you can see when I imported my PDF that it imported the entire PDF, but that's not what I would like to print. I would like to print just this area included in the scope of work so that it's nice and large and easy to see. So what I need to do is crop the background so that only this part applies. And to do that, I'll go to Background, Crop Background, and click and drag around the area that I would like to print. And then go to Print Preview, Color Key Code, and print just this installation guide for that project. Same for the color summary. This includes all my quantities. So we have broken down here the size of the areas, the amount of material you need, the waste, and the perimeter. And then for transition and base, under the base column, it has a lineal footage for each. So that took about 20 minutes to do a pretty simple takeoff. If you'd like this information broken down in a bit more detail and a bit more thoroughly, you can check out some of our other videos. If you have questions, please post them in the comments, and please watch some more videos if you would like to learn more about Callidus. Thank you.